strong, and it's getting better, and things are going to be okay. He will be missed. I just wanted to say, he's in God's hands now, and we all love him, and God bless, and good journey.
Are there any other family members who would like to share? If no other family members, then are there some friends who would like to come up and share a glimpse about Tom Flanagan? Going once, going twice. Well, I'll tell you that most of Tom's entries on his website are about his experiences in World War II. Tom was one of the few remaining members of what has been understated to be the greatest generation. As a crew chief in charge of a C-47, Tom got to know that plane like he got to know the Latin Mass. And the lives of all of those airmen who flew with him were in his hands, and his dedication to safety got him and them home again after their required number of missions flown. Regarding going home, you must hear some excerpts from his entry about that. He says that after almost 15 months in China, I don't know how many missions I had accumulated, but enough combat hours in the air to receive orders for a return to the States, along with several others in my squadron. The medical officer of our unit called each of us in for a required physical. During our visit, I noticed a tinge of jealousy on his part, but put it out of my mind. And then he goes on to talk about all the stops they had to make. It took weeks to get back to the United States. And so then he says, during this time, I got to thinking about our medical officer back in Kunming, China, and remembered that he had given each of us an envelope addressed to the ranking medical officer, Port of Disembarkation, USA. My memory of his somewhat jealous remarks at the time of my physical 6 weeks before prompted me to open the letter. It read, "This airman, Staff Sergeant Thomas Flanagan, has been physically examined by me on this date, May 1st, 1945, and found to be in excellent physical condition. It is my recommendation that he be returned to the China-Burma-India Theater of Operations after a 45-day period of rest and rehabilitation." It was signed by him, showing his rank as Major, U.S. Air Corps. After some cursing and carrying on and showing this to my fellow 322nd buddies, they found their letters, and we all tore them to shreds with loud cheers. That was going home. Going home. Some people think of the soul moving on as a going home, and it gets there by taking a walk through the valley of the shadow of death. But there are more encouraging lines than that in that best known of all Psalms, David's 23rd Psalm. Just listen as Pat and Michelle recite.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me into the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
So Tom has flown home. My favorite war story of Tom's, and the last that I will share with you, is about him flying, even though he was a crew chief, not a pilot. Here is that story. One bright sunny day in China, I was all alone in my airplane and feeling good. I had to taxi it out to the far edge of the field, which offered some protection in bombing raids. I was taxiing on the strip parallel to the runway. Feeling so good, I revved the engines until my speed was such that I felt the tail lift. I then rolled the trim tab wheel for the elevator until I felt the plane lift slightly off the runway. I eased back on the throttles to let it settle back to terra firma. Later came the dreams. For years, because of that incident, I had nightmares of being airborne. I was skimming the treetops, with the only control being the throttle and the trim tabs. Fortunately, I always woke up before I crashed. This past Monday, Tom did not wake up. But neither did he crash. Instead, he flew. He unfolded his wings and spread them to the breeze. When a hawk on a windy day, perched on a treetop, unfolds his wings, he is lifted up and away and can soar so high that we cannot see him anymore, and yet we know he is there. And sure, we would have wanted to hold Tom earthbound longer if we could, and if his body could have served him as vehicle for soul. It's in losing a dear one, at no matter what age, that we realize how brief a time we have together in any case. We flutter by each other like passing butterflies and move on through life's eternity. Oh, but in that fleeting moment of togetherness, as we do flutter by, there is an exquisite beauty to be shared in each other's presence. Let us all know that we were blessed to cross paths with Tom Flanagan, and let us now do that loving kindness of blessing him on his way. Tom, the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Where you are, God is, and all is truly well with you. Back in the 1940s, all was made truly well for our country, thanks to the military service of Tom and many others of the greatest generation. Representatives of the United States Army, assisted by Jay Stevenson on trumpet, will now help us all the more to honor Staff Sergeant H. Thomas Flanagan. Depart in peace and with fond memories of yours and God's beloved.